July 1st is going to be one of my favorite days of this entire stretch coming up. But why though? I mean, I like Canada, but it's not because of Canada Day, and I certainly don't like the fact that it's going to be my mom's birthday. But July 1st is truly a day in which I could actually just sit back and relax and get away from all of the terrible stresses that life has put on me. Now, I'm not going to say everything was insanely busy, but there's definitely been a lot of things going on that we will discuss in this video as to what made really the end of 10th grade be, I think, even more draining than the end of 9th grade. And the end of 9th grade was a lot once something happened. There's actual reasons why I can't disclose what happened in this YouTube video. Like, there's actual people who are going to go ballistic at me if they see this on my YouTube channel. So, for that reason, that information is going to have to be kept out of the video. And some of this information is going to be holes in there too. Again, there's a limit as to how much I can mention before people actually begin to censor me for it. So that's going to be interesting because of all the names I'm going to have to bleep out. But if you are one of the names in this, as one of your friends and you're watching this video, you do know who you are. But I actually can't say most of the names that I want to. This is exhausting. Okay, so first, let's go into the future a little bit before we descend back into the past. So, today was a camp orientation from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the first hour just started off with a bunch of lectures, but then I was actually told that we had to start organizing for the summer. And yeah, that was not fun. Everyone else who had a counter position actually just got to continue around and do, more trainings and talk to their friends. I couldn't really do that because none of my friends are in this position. Realistically, there was someone who I saw in the morning, actually several people like that, who, if I didn't say anything to them then, I would not have seen them even at the closing orientation. Also, it was a bit of a warm day. It started off yucky with temperatures only in the mid-60s, though with nearly max humidity. But the temperature then began to rise and it hit all the way up to 77 degrees by the end of it. Wearing sweatpants might not have been the best idea. Especially because the humidity led to a heat index of 81 degrees before it was all over. And then I saw my grandfather. It was a bit of a warm-up to what camp life is going to be like. Obviously, with the setup, it won't be quite as intensive as what it was during that 4-hour stretch of me just doing non-stop things, although I was able to get a 20-minute break in. That was nice, although I nearly broke down. But it was really difficult for me to get a break, and during the summer it won't be quite as bad, I think, but it's not going to be much easier. It's going to be easier, but not much easier. And some of the days are going to be rainier and colder. Actually, it's going to be if we have a rain day, but not all of them. So that is going to be not a lot of fun. So we're just going to go into the future a little bit. June 25th, which was originally when camp orientation is on a Sunday, but Josh decided to make it Saturday to give everyone a Sunday off to rest before camp. I, though, will not be fortunate to have the opportunity because I was selected to play in a graduation ensemble. Essentially, I have to get to school at 9:45 a.m. and we don't get home until 4. We don't play that much. There is a lot of chilling around. It's going to be a lot more chill, and a few of my friends from school, if we can't meet over the summer, which in some cases, we want to be able to, then this is the last time I'll be able to see them until September 5th, because even though a lot of people are going to be in the marching band this year, this is actually the first year in which I can't attend any of the marching band orientations. You'll see how my life stacks up and how busy it is, and that's why like July 1st being a weekend day with hopefully not that much to do is just going to be so relaxing and so stress relieving. And that's why I'm just hopeful that it is. Beginning of July, first 4 days, I only have to work one of them because July 4th we have off. And, I'm just hoping that that's a good time for me to catch my breath, because after that, it's 71% of the days I'm working. Again, a very tiring job. So June 25th is graduation ensemble. It is an AC. That's going to be the last time I can catch significant AC, for at least until July 1st, because camp, AC, we have some AC at camp, but not a lot of AC at camp. So that's going to be not a lot of fun. I'm telling you, not a lot of fun. So June 26th we start camp. 27th it looks like it might be rainy and chilly, but then it begins to warm up throughout the 28th, 29th, 30th, and July 1st is again another warm day, but I'm not actually working, and it's going to be again just a bit of a nice stress relieving break. So that's always nice to have, just a time to catch a breath, July 1st and 2nd I'm going to have off, and I'm just really looking forward to those days so I can just truly sit back and relax, which I have not had the opportunity to do in an exceptionally long time. Because I won't have any stresses from camp or any school stresses either, and that's just going to be nice. Of course, July 4th is going to be a little bit more nerve-wracking, because even though I'm off from camp, it's only a one-day break, and July 5th I have to go to camp knowing what my AP score was for the stats exam, because they release on July 5th, and, unless by some miracle they don't release until July 15, in which case I can't check until I get home at 4:45. Unless they don't release before then, my friends are going to be pressing me so much, and I'm just really scared for my AP grade. Now that I know what all my Regents grades are, the AP grade is the one thing on my mind. Still. So, then it's 3 days, a weekend off on July 8th and 9th, but again, what I experienced the first week is going to pretty much be what I experienced the remaining 6 after that, and you're only 1/4 of the way done with camp after that, and again, just the rigorous experiences. I'll get used to them, and I know that, but I'm going to be so dead inside that weekend that I'm really going to truly want to relax. But we know why this weekend I couldn't really relax, but why has life been so draining in general? June 23rd, I will admit I actually had some time to relax, and as we got our grades back, I sometimes just talk with some friends, and other people who aren't actually really my friends. Some of them actually don't like me at all, but it was still, in a final situation. And a big reason why I actually wore pants today is because yesterday, when I thought it was going to be 75 degrees on a 78 degree heat index, it was like, the high was like 70 or 71 degrees. Essentially nowhere even near shorts weather. You couldn't even really wear a short sleeve shirt, and that is a high and be comfortable. At least I couldn't. And I was just really screwed over by the weather, because, with the rain, there was a severe chill in the air. Then I had a Met party from 2:30 to 3:30, but again, there was actually a sense of being able to kick back in and relax. June 22nd, again, there's a walk from 12 to 3, and then my lifeguard test from 5 to 8. and obviously that lifeguard test was stressful. Also, Thursday was actually a weird day because they thought it was going to be a very cold day with a high only in the upper 60s. The high actually managed to hit 73. Yeah, my pants and long sleeve shirt outfit was, again, not the best idea. But it's actually been kind of like the last 2 days I've not been making the correct clothing choices. That's been funny. June 20, first I did the Algebra 2 Regents. And at the end, with how many conflicting answers there were, this is when we start to get some of our Regents grades back. We started to actually get some of them back on Wednesday, but this is the one I knew I'd have to wait until Friday on. And I remember we got to this answer, and, Sarah literally yelled at me as to how I got the answer, even though I plugged them in, and I was actually correct in that. And me and some other people were talking about it. And the way she yelled at me is actually going to kind of set the tone for the video. And even though I wasn't supposed to mention that, it was an incident that that's just been kind of occurring. And yes, she works at the same camp I work at, but did we see each other after 10 a.m.? No. Are we going to see each other a lot over the summer? I highly doubt it. I think that of the 39 days I work at camp, I'm going to see her like 6 of them is my prediction, and I will not see her the other 33. And speak to her, probably gonna happen like once or twice in a really random incident. I feel like it's not gonna be a thing that happens, which I'm kind of glad about because of our last 100 interactions, about 63 of them have been negative. That's a bit of a high ratio. I prefer if that number is kept to the 30s or below. 60s is again too high. And I know I literally had to delete a video because I mentioned this, but in this case, I'm starting to realize how literally this whole thing isn't going to make sense unless you know about this. But I will say, and I will actually address this, so in case you ever watches this video, she can reference back to this point that it's not totally that I think that she hates me anymore. It's not totally that. Rather, I think that there was an incident, and she holds grudges. So that lasted until spring break, which we'll have to backtrack to. And then once we got after that, and I began to bash the Islanders, she won't admit this, but she is a New York Islanders fan, and especially whenever I do it, whenever I come in and bash a team, especially because they bash so many New York teams, I get it. It can be an angry experience. And I just bashed them for a week straight from April 23rd through about the 28th when they got out in the playoffs. Maybe I even started bashing them on the 22nd. I think it was on Sunday. The reason why I even began to bash the Islanders in the first place, first of all, I don't like Ross, and I was trying to find a reason to go against this team. But also, I found a truly stunning article that I can no longer couldn't even find, that caused a lot of problems when people like Jack and Eli began to demand proof for this, and I could not find the article. And of course, Sarah had a similar problem, as did all of her other friends. It was about the Islanders going in and excessively checking people, and then there were a lot of people who also thought that was a dumb reason not to like a team, especially considering that was hockey. There was a lot of controversy surrounding my bashing of the New York Islanders, but I did temporarily actually be able to have friendly relations with the Rangers fans until my wordage made it sound like I was siding with the Devils in their playoff series. Don't worry, I was being neutral. Between the Rangers and the Devils, I really couldn't care. So, that was a delightful hockey series. Just kidding, it wasn't. So, we've clashed a lot before. They've also been very awkward clashes, and now here we are again in a very interesting situation. All right, that was a massive side deviation. June 20th was the flax, and then I saw my cousins, and then I had staff training, and then saw my cousins again. Literally, I was between about 10 a.m. and literally 9:30 p.m. I was in the house from about 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So for an entire 11 and a half hour stretch, I was in the house for 1 hour. The test was from about 10 to 2, or that's when I was in school, at least for the test. Then I went over to my grandparents' house. My cousins were at 3. I had to leave at 4:40 for staff training, meet the camp night, which I was just helping out at, but was not as laborious as today by far, and just a really just warm up for what the summer's gonna be. And then I got back at like 7:30, and then we played tennis from 8 to 8:45. Turns out I suck at tennis, so I was back home, I think, at 9. Again, 11 hours, home for one of them. That's how you can really begin to understand how exhausting it was. And 6 of those hours, I was away, so it wasn't even like it was perfectly in the middle, because it wasn't. 19th was also filled heavily with me seeing my cousins. A lot of it, and then studying for the algebra regions, and then going to present the check at Catch the Wave. 18th, again, pretty much the entire day was spent with my cousins, and it came down on the 17th, so I was seeing them pretty consistently, starting at like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on Saturday the 17th. So that was not a very relaxing weekend. Friday the 16th was the Chem regions. Thursday the 15th was the Global regions. Friday was definitely more exhausting than Thursday, but again, Wednesday the 14th was actually a day that I can kind of kick back, but there weren't very many of those. And then you know how many school days they were. And again, weekends too, but there was just so much studying laced in there that it became hard. And again, things became particularly bruising by the end with all these conflicting things going on. It was actually a bit of a chaotic war zone that I had to battle my way through. Literally the last 2 months, I'm going to be honest, I did not know how it could be that polarizing. I knew it could be polarizing, but to the degree that I was able to experience it, I did not think I was going to be able to be that polarizing. Like, I didn't think people would either have to come down to be my friend or my enemy. And it truly does. Now, I'm not going to say this is the worst position in the world, because not everyone is my enemy, but I've definitely made a lot. That's definitely happened. There's someone else who I made such an enemyship with that if I mention her name, I probably find myself into a severe punishment Sunday morning, but then I don't have to see her again until September, so that's nice. Oh, by the way, just in case you were wondering about where all this started, this is actually another reason why, again, those days to just kick back and relax come in so useful. I'm telling you, they come in extremely useful. Because Disney was a very interesting trip. And, we had our concert on the 15th, and then break started on the 18th, and that was actually pretty nice to start off with. We started off with a nice, we had a nice break in the middle of February from the 18th, and it ran all the way through to the 26th. This is also the first time I ever rode a train by myself. I tried to make it back home, but despite wearing 3 layers, I could not battle it through the 34-degree temperatures, so I had to abort. That was also like the 3rd coldest air mass we experienced all winter, even though it was really like only like 6 degrees below normal, just to show you how mild of a winter it was. The coldest air mass, the 3rd coldest air mass should be a lot colder than 6 degrees below normal. It really should be. the fact that New York City, the mean temp of 28, the mean temperature was 27 degrees here in my suburb, and was consistently at least in the mid-20s, and was our third coldest period, that really should scream something at you. It really should. Anyway, I remember we got back on the 27th. We had some beautiful snowfall into the 28th. I made some videos on it. Beautiful snowfall. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then March 1st, I even took a walk to school in the snow. Or the inch of snow that was left, because it was rapidly melting. And by the afternoon of March 2nd, it was all gone. But what you gotta understand then is that relaxation became very hard. March 4th was a crappy rainy day. Over an inch of rain fell in a city in what was supposed to be a snowstorm that could have given our area 4 to 6 inches of snow. But that proved to be too good to be true, as temperatures stayed mainly in the 40s during the event. Now, can you snow in the 40s and even 50s? Yes, but it's exceptionally hard for anything to accumulate. We had March 5th, and I had a swim meet to compete in. So that was very interesting. And then March 6th and 7th and 8th went too eventful at school. But again, setting the tone. Plus, I walked to school a lot of those days because my parents made me get up at 6 a.m. to slowly begin to sensitize me into how little sleep I'd be getting on a Disney trip. And while the worst night was the 8th into the 9th and the 9th into the 10th, those are the two worst nights that both featured 4 hours of sleep. The 10th to the 11th wasn't that great either. It featured us going to bed a little before midnight and getting up about 6:30 a.m. So 6.5 hours, and the 11th to 12th was 5.5 because, again, the ST. And that weekend certainly was not a relaxing one. Like March 11th going to Epcot and having a recording studio maybe wasn't quite as busy as literally taking a 6:30 a.m. flight and going to 2 Disney parks in one day on the 9th, or having a concert and then going to Hollywood Studios on the 10th, but it was still a very draining day with minimal sleep. The 12th wasn't that busy, and we only went to Disney Springs for 2 hours, but again, that heavy theme was still present, so maybe that was the most relaxing day, but I'd expect more relaxation on a weekend, and it was probably about as busy as the conference I had on the 18th. Which, by the way, the 13th was actually where a lot of the problems began to crop up. They began to crop up because I was on about, I want to say, a 10-hour sleep deficit built up from that trip, which most of it was in the first 2 nights, in which case I simply could not recover and lost a few more hours on my sleep deficit. And that's also where the polarizing nature of me starts. It's also why I began to become a Philadelphia 76er fan, which actually began on the Disney trip. And in that light, it really makes sense how things could become an issue, though the Sixers weren't as polarizing as the Eagles. But the Eagles, even though I was an Eagles fan since December of 2022, since the end of December 2022, it wasn't as big, and it wasn't announced until right before the Super Bowl. So it was able to be more easily scathed off than being a Sixers fan, although the Sixers don't hate the New York teams as much as the Eagles hate the Giants. The Eagles don't hate the Jets because they play in different conferences, and unlike the Giants and Patriots, they have not met in multiple Super Bowls. I mean, unlike the Giants and Patriots. The Patriots being the Jets' main rival. But what you really have to understand now is that it was, again, an exhausting week. And everything just felt longer because of it. That and also the March 14th snow event was truly heartbreaking. What started off to promising to be a 1.5-foot snow event, we wound up looking at the miles and looking to get anywhere between 0 and 3 inches only. But of that, we were way closer to the 0 end, finishing with between 1/5 and 1/3 of an inch. That's all, because it took 5 hours for the snow to start accumulating, and within an hour and a half, some sleet mixes in and it melts all the snow, which is not what's supposed to happen either. This is also what happens when it snows when it's above 32 degrees and it's light outside. It ain't sticking. The March 18th, again, though, it was at Portmont Conference. March 19th, which was our final bit of an Arctic blast, was when I had another swim meet. From there, the exhaustion just began to build on another. I got some rest, but there was never anything that was a true relaxation. April break, kind of, but even then, not really. And there were a lot of stresses of people just not liking me and being exceptionally passive aggressive about it and forcing me into many arguments. I'm not going to totally say that they're like horrible people. They probably aren't. And it's probably is a side of me that I expose too much that they hate, and there's probably another side of me that they would actually kind of like. But still, it's a bit of a weird situation. So that's why I'm looking forward to July 1st. It's going to be my first weekend since the end of August last year on which there's no school stress or camp stress. And while it might not be the quietest of a weekend, it's just going to be a time where I can slowly, hopefully, begin to forget. Now, with the camp thing, I hope that there's not any weird Sarah or her weird friend quadrilateral drama during it. If there somehow happens to be, then I actually really can't escape it until the 19th. That's when the summer ends. But again, just like how my life always is, been like event after event after event, it's going to continue. We fly into Minneapolis for probably 6 or 7 day long vacation. Probably we're not leaving until the 26th or even the 27th, so I meant 7 or 8 nights. Because our vacation is also likely going to suffer an extension because of all the driving that we're doing during it. A very exhausting vacation that where we just truly see, how I'm missing marching band practice, which is going to haunt me in the beginning of the school year. And there's just going to be a lot of things going on that that's going to be hard for me to pick the pieces up on. But I think the weekends of July and the weekends of August are going to be the best time for me to forget about the entire situation going on. That I know is going to be a drama lag that continues into at least the beginning of 11th grade. I will say that the end of 9th year drama didn't actually continue to 10th grade, which I was happy about. But there's no way that all of this, which includes working as a counselor, so people are going to continue to, know me and my YouTube channel and all that. There's no way that after all that, it just suddenly does not happen in 11th grade. It's probably not going to be as big, but it's going to happen. And again, I don't actually know how me being away is going to, affect how I adapt to the marching band. it's always been that I was able to go even through a vacation, and even though it's like, I know I waited till a while after camp, it was always where it was tweens stuff and teen stuff where it was only like 7 weeks of summer instead of 8. There's going to be 8 exhausting weeks. In 2021, I was able to go to the August 19th conference, which was for incoming members only. Had to skip the 20th, even though I probably could have gone realistically. I wound up going again on the 26th, which was probably the most miserable. There's actually a YouTube video about the summer that I talk about. Maybe I try to compare it to the 2021 summer and say how this is going to be similar to it, although probably without just rain. And you'll understand in the 2021 video why the August 26th marching band practice in particular felt like hell. But to summarize it quickly, it was a 100-degree heat index. Then, in 2022, I was actually able to attend the one on August 25th. I wasn't eligible for the first one, but due to my trip to Montreal, I would have missed all of them except the one on the 25th anyway. But this one, I can go to both. The 26th is a Friday. But this year, 23rd and 25th are one of the 2 ones I can go to. But just to put it this way, I will not be able to go to either of them, which again, school starts on September 5th. There is a marching band rehearsal on September 9th, and I'll probably learn a lot of things there. But it's not easy adapting when you don't really know anything, and I won't be able to go. And why is this really relevant? Particularly because if I mess up, I know that I just can't get it off of me. That was a bit of a hard video to film.